Hello there, I'm Shane Young, and I get the privilege of helping you learn Copilot Studio. But before we start, I did want to let you know that I worked with the Microsoft product team to create this awesome training for all of you Power Platform rock stars. Cool? Cool. Okay, let's get to it. Now let's add some knowledge for our IT support assistant, right? In order for it to do its job, it's going to need to know the answers to the questions and answer the way that we want. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here, we're going to click on Add Knowledge. Now to get started here with Add Knowledge, the first thing you see is public websites. So this is where you could have it pull in information from a publicly facing website that you own. So something that had maybe FAQs or things like that. Now the way that this works is it will actually just query Bing in order to get the information from your public website. So it's counting on Bing having previously crawled your website, and it's going to use that repository to answer questions. This isn't something we're going to set up today, but I wanted you to know that it was there. So the next option we have here is SharePoint. So SharePoint's where a lot of business content lives today. So for example, you might have an IT support site already that has your different IT support documents in there. And so you want to be able to reference those and pull those in as knowledge. So let's look at my site real quick. Let's switch over to SharePoint. So here's my Contoso IT help desk. And as you can see, we're in the documents library. And I just have a bunch of Word, PowerPoints, PDF documents in here to answer my common IT questions. Now, truth be told, I use Microsoft 365 Copilot in Word and PowerPoint to create all these documents, so I had some sample data to show you for these demos. So definitely use Copilot to create sample documents if you need them for your scenario, or hopefully you're using this in your real business scenario and you've already got real corporate IT documents or HR documents or whatever scenario you happen to be solving for. But anyway, what we want to do is we want to get those documents into one place, and in our case, this is a nice, lovely document library. So let's switch back over to Copilot. And so back over here, let's click on SharePoint. So now we have a couple of different options. One is if we wanted to use that entire SharePoint site, we could put that URL in here and then add it. That would then use all of the ASPX pages from the website and all the documents and all the document libraries in that particular SharePoint site. Or in our case, we want to try to be targeted, right? Anytime that you're doing this, the more narrow your focus, the more targeted the amount of data you are feeding in, the more accurate, the better your results are going to be. So instead of saying, hey, use everything ever in SharePoint, that's going to have a hard time getting the right answers all the time. What you want to say is, hey, this bot is just for IT FAQ. Let's just show it the document library for IT FAQ. So to do that over here, I have a Contoso IT help desk site. And so here you can see that there's my document library. Now, keep in mind, I could be like, okay, I just want to use these two documents, and then it will just use those two. So I could select specific ones. We can also look here. And so if there were other libraries and such, we could do that. If there was folders, we could choose those. Also, if we backpedal here, once again, there's where you can see there's just the one document library on that particular site. So that's what I want, just that one document library. So we're going to say confirm selection. Now, when you do this, like this is one of those places where people go too fast and they tend to skip things. I'll be the first one to admit, I've been doing this for 20 something long years. And I have, just descriptions are just like pointless, right? We never use them. No, right? When we're building agents, we want to be very descriptive, because the more descriptive we are, the more information that provides the agent, the more correct the outcomes of the solutions, right? So make sure that we're being descriptive here. So instead of calling this documents, I'm going to call this IT support documents with an S on the end, of course. And so then here, right, this knowledge source provides information found in documents SharePoint, right? That is not helpful to our agent. So let's get rid of that, Control A, delete. And let's try something like this. Here you go, we'll cheat and put it in Notepad real quick, right? But this knowledge source provides information for answering IT-related questions. Examples include, can I work from home? How do I install software? Or I need a new keyboard. So the idea here is that we're going to take that information, we're going to put that into this description. And so now when the agent's looking over its knowledge sources and be, hey, what does that knowledge source does? It's got our detailed description so it has a better idea. When you're working with it later, you decide, hey, it has a hard time realizing it should answer this question. Come back to the description and add that question in there. The more information you provide to the agent, the better job it's going to do. So now that we're happy with that, let's just say add. Okay, so we're brought back to the home screen. So that knowledge has been added, but let's click on knowledge here just to see what we've got here. And so now let's go to the add knowledge button. We have the option as well to add Dataverse. So if you have your information in Dataverse, you have the ability to query that. And it has a whole different set of mechanisms for that. So we're going to cover that one in our next demonstration when we talk about building that autonomous agent the one that runs by itself. We're going to use Dataverse in that example. So for now, we're going to leave Dataverse be. Notice up here, you also have advanced. So this is going to show you some of the other Copilot connectors that are available today. So these are enterprise data connections, and you can see that some of the things like Salesforce, ServiceNow, Zendesk, all these things are there, Azure SQL and Azure AI Search. So these are some of the connectors that are available today. Microsoft is working on, and they're going to bring us more over time. But as of right now, that's what we've got. So we're not going to mess with any of those either, but kind of inspires you, maybe some other ideas. And if we go back here to featured, last but not least, we have upload files. So sometimes you're like, hey, I have documents that I want to use specifically, right? I want to use this file or that file. It doesn't exist in SharePoint today. It's just a rules document that I think would be great to help as knowledge. So you can manually upload those today, and then they will be available. Now, keep in mind that anything that is in there will not be security trimmed, meaning that every piece of information in those documents a user could pull out by talking to the agent. Whereas when we use SharePoint, if that document library we just connected to had some files that some people could see, some files other people couldn't see, it would handle that because all the interactions with that is going to take place as the logged in user. So their information is being passed over. So security is maintained. Any file you put in here, everyone can see everything. Now, if you want to learn more about knowledge sources, click on this link up here. I'm not going to take you there. I'm not going to go read the web page to you, but it will be the most up-to-date information, especially you start thinking about different file types, different file sizes. All of that is documented there. And since this is an ever-evolving product, the information is going to change from time to time. So even if you've read it before, it never hurts to go back and check on it, make sure, there's not something new information there that you would like. Okay. So that's the only knowledge source that we need. So we can go ahead and cancel out. And so the last little thing I want to talk about here. So if we go back to our settings, and then when we're in generative AI, down here we have this premium feature. Enhanced search results can provide an improved search performance for Microsoft 365 Copilot tenants, and availability varies by data source. Okay, so what this really does is this changes the way that SharePoint data gets indexed. So in your tenant, as long as you have at least one Microsoft 365 Copilot license, so one person has that license, then that changes the way that your SharePoint index is maintained, and then that will enhance the search results here. So this is enabled by default, and you probably want this enabled unless you're having problems with incorrect answers. But as long as you have at least one M365 Copilot license, having this turned on is going to greatly improve the accuracy and thoroughness of the answers you're getting back. Once again, click on Learn More. It's another one of those things that is evolving. It also changes some of the licensing requirements. We're not going to worry about licensing today, but there is more to uncover here. But just know that this switch is only if you've got that enabled. But if you're using SharePoint as a data source, then it is absolutely going to get you better responses. Okay, so let's X out of this again. And if we return back to our home page, I think we're good, right? We've got our IT support documents available. And let's go jump over here to the right and let's try asking it a question like, I want to start working from home. What should I know, right? The same question we asked earlier. And so here now it's looking at its knowledge sources, it's processing. It's like, hey, do I know the answer to this question from any of that data? And hopefully it's going to come back in just a moment. You can see the output came from a SharePoint document. And over on the right, look at that. There is the answer. It came out of one of our documents. These are the correct answers. I validated. And you can see if you want to check for yourself, you could click on the link here and this would open up that SharePoint document. So good old fashioned trust but verify, right? You could go and look in the document. Maybe you want to get into the particulars. You want to see greater details. You want to see what else they talk about in there, other ideas, whatever it might be. But the really amazing part here, right? Like we didn't tell it how to answer that question. We didn't tell it about that question at all. We just provided our SharePoint knowledge source and it found the answer on its own. This is the power of knowledge paired with our friend, the orchestration, right? This is what is allowing this all to happen. Now, the last little caveat here. So notice back here in the knowledge section, allow the AI to use its own general knowledge, and it is enabled. We're going to turn that off, right? We're going to say yes. And so the reason we're going to turn this off is this allows the tool to use its greater knowledge, right? The large language model, it knows a lot of things about a lot of things. And so what we don't want to really happen in this scenario though, is what if they ask a question about working from home and we didn't have any documentation from that? What would happen if we left this enabled is the agent would have said, okay, well, working from home, I know about that. And it would have provided an answer using its own knowledge instead of our SharePoint-based knowledge. So anytime you're in a scenario where you want to make sure that the answers are only coming from your trusted sources, your documentation, you're going to want to turn this off. Another great example, one of my agents I built was to answer my emails. And if someone asked about what training class should I take, I gave it a document of all the training classes and kind of descriptions, which it did a great job. But sometimes because I had this enabled, it would say, oh, you're looking for XYZ training, and it would pull some random XYZ training company that it had found over its, large language model brain, and it would share information about them. I didn't want it promoting other people's training, right? I wanted it to stay and only promote my classes from my document. So, you're going to find, I think all the agents I can think of so far, I've turned this off because I'm building a custom agent to solve a specific problem with my knowledge. I don't want it to use its general knowledge. So your mileage might vary, but definitely give this one a think before you go live with your agent. Okay, so I think that covers knowledge. So hopefully I'll see you over in the next video where we're going to start to build those actions so we can do things like create support tickets and other fun stuff. See you over there in a second.